You probably already know that sewing on a new machine would probably be a lot more fun and save you some serious frustration. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and I have for you today 10 guilt-free excuses to upgrade your sewing machine today. So we probably know that we tend to use our machine much longer than most appliances. Oh, it's okay. It's just fine. I'm really not using it that much. But would you sew more if you had a machine that you enjoyed sewing on? And maybe you don't know that joy because you've never had a new machine, like with all the cool things that are on machines these days that make it so much easier. And yes, taking that step is a big step. Now, I'm not saying that you need to throw away your old machine. Definitely keep it, especially if it's got some sentimental value to you and memories that are maybe of your mom or your grandma sewing or times when you were learning to sew on that machine. But there's a few things that I'm going to highlight and you'll probably get a chuckle out. But if this relates to you, it's time to maybe go start shopping for a new machine. Go look. You might be surprised with some of the new things that you'll find on the machines. So in no particular order, and there's probably more than 10 on my list here, but let's just talk about when I have people come in and they say, oh yeah, my sewing machine is so heavy. Now, a lot of the older machines were much heavier. So if that is one of the things that you have said in the past, you might be enjoying a newer machine that isn't as heavy as they used to be. Now, just because they're not as heavy doesn't mean they're not as good. And I do get that often when people say, oh, well, the new machines aren't as good as the old machines. Actually, they are. So don't let that be something that you kind of latch onto. They really are a better, higher quality sewing machine than what was made 30, 40, 50 years ago. If you got your sewing machine for graduation, now you know who you are, it might be time for an upgrade. And this would be a perfect time to start looking. Now, that machine that you might have gotten from graduation, if your son or daughter doesn't really want to sew on it because it kind of looks vintage, that also might be a good excuse of getting a new machine. Would they be more drawn in to use a newer machine? Something with buttons, something where they could just push a button and get a stitch and don't have to worry about all those knobs and how to get everything set. A lot of the new machines, it's pretty easy. They are set up and ready to sew. Here's a good one. If you sew with one hand on the hand wheel to kind of get it to start going each time you're starting a new seam, that might be time for a new machine. Also, if you have a sewing machine with an exposed belt and you have gone to your sewing machine store and replaced the belt because it stretches, that is something else that would indicate you're ready for a new machine. Why not? It's time. If you're still sewing after all these years, why don't you take the time to explore? If your machine is one that you have not serviced for over 10 years or 20, and you kind of brag about it, well, that would mean that you're not taking care of it the way it should be taken care of. I would say that would be another guilt-free excuse of, oh, I need to get a new machine. If you've ever looked at your machine and wondered, does your foot, is it a low shank or a high shank, or maybe you don't recognize the shank, that would also mean that it's just of an older style. These days, you can get accessories of just about anything to make your sewing easier, fun for different techniques like rufflers or a walking foot that would just fit on the new machine. And you don't have to struggle of kind of going, oh, well, I have this machine, but it's got this weird foot to it. That would be a good reason to upgrade today. I've also run across where some machines of the older type have bobbins that load from the side. If that's you, yeah, it's time. You can get yourself a new machine. Because bobbins that load from the side also have to have the needles put in from the side. That also means that you're threading the needle from here to there. And if you forget and put the needle in wrong, then things don't work. So that would be another clue that it's time. If your machine is still attached to the original cabinet, yes, you too are ready for an upgrade. You know how hard it is to transport a machine in a cabinet to a sewing machine place to have it serviced? It's kind of awkward. And it's awkward for us because now we have a machine in a cabinet that we're trying to service, and it's we've come a long way. So they're a lot more portable, they have covers, there's cases, there's all sorts of things that make that part a lot more easier than having to unscrew and unattach the machine from a cabinet and get all the cords and everything. It is a lot easier these days. I heard this the other day. Well, I only have 2 bobbins for my machine because I can't find any more of that style. Some of those original machines had a unique bobbin. And you're right, we don't always stock some of those older bobbin sizes. So sometimes people literally are using 2 bobbins and kind of winding thread and then unwinding thread. So if that's you and you only have a couple bobbins, yep, guess what? Your new machine will come with a handful of bobbins included with the purchase. These last 2 are relating to embroidery machines. Now, embroidery machines have been around for a long time. I mean, I remember as a teenager sitting down to my very first embroidery-only machine. And here it is. This Bernat Deco 500 was my first embroidery machine, and it had a hoop size that stitched 4 inches by 4 inches. So if you have a hoop size that is your largest size, we've also come a long way in the embroidery world, and you will also enjoy embroidering when you can do some of those larger designs. Also on that machine is another thing with embroidery cards, or some of the machines with embroidery floppy disk design collections. Like the floppy disk went into the side of the machine. This is a time where you are finding your sewing machine manufacturers are not even supporting these machines anymore. So if you have a card or a floppy disk slot, this is also time to upgrade and enjoy some of the newest features, like putting designs on a USB stick, or better yet, if you're a gadget girl like I am, why not use the new options like the smart homes have? And we have machines that are Wi-Fi compatible. So we don't even put designs on a USB stick. We can just actually put them through the Wi-Fi feature and the cloud, and voila, the designs just magically appear on the machine. So if you are looking for features like that, ask about them when you go to explore all the wonderful options of new sewing machines, new sergers. Sergers are another thing that have come a long way, so much easier these days, and embroidery machines. So don't wait until you need a new sewing machine. Start enjoying it today. You're going to have so much more fun. It's going to be enjoyable. Your kids or grandkids are going to love maybe sitting down and sewing with you, and you can share that love with them. So you'll have a sewing partner as they get older. So if you've enjoyed this list, or if you have a few excuses you want to add to the comments of what got you to get your new machine, please leave us a little note. We love reading about it. And also, if you have enjoyed any of our free video tutorials, we do ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's what helps pay for all the new videos coming out. I'm filming videos on this machine. It's a new Singer Elite CE 677 right now, and it just helps us continue to bring you the free content so you can watch it anytime. Plus, we have online courses that you can also enjoy to help you master your sewing machine, serger, or embroidery machine. And we'll put some of those extra links below so you can jump in and see all the cool things that you can learn about your own machine. So visit your local sewing machine store and start shopping for the features that you will use going forward. Happy sewing!